I get that feeling.
Yeah. So I think we just saw one come through. We're anticipating another one. Your team's gearing up for some NERC alerts.
Yep. Yeah. So why don't you take us through a little bit of quick history about NERC alerts?
Yeah. So, it's interesting when NERC compliance started back in 2007, there was a lot we didn't know, and the industry was definitely figuring things out. Back in about 2009, I believe, they started realizing that there were things that would happen in real time on the grid that needed to be addressed. The first NERC alert that I really remember was the Susnex virus. So it was a cybersecurity threat that they were seeing across the industry. And so they quickly came up with this way of issuing these NERC alerts. And so they're really responses to real-time situations on the grid and real-time things that we're seeing in the industry. And a way to touch everyone in the industry. The standard drafting process is cool. Like it's great because it brings in the whole industry. But it's a process, right? And it takes a long period of time. It's a slow moving ship. And so sometimes there have been things in the past that really required the industry to respond quickly and to implement something quickly before you could actually implement a change in the standard. Or were so operational based that they didn't really belong in a standard per se. So I think your team's been spending a lot of time dealing with some of the NERC alerts that have come out. Again, we're preparing for this inverter-based resource one that we're going to see come out in August. That'll be due, and it's interesting because we know that this grid transformation that we're going through is really affected by these inverter-based resources, and really the industry is really trying to wrap their arms around the data and how these inverter-based resources are interacting on the grid and ensuring that they're compliant. So I think we're anticipating a NERC alert here that's going to address some of that inverter-based resources perspective for grid reliability. But NERC alerts really are coming from this perspective of there's something operationally happening that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed quicker than maybe the standard process does. The Susnex virus was a really great example because it was like, hey, have you gone and checked to make sure that you're not, vulnerable to this virus, right? And so, the NERC alerts is a great way to get out there to the whole industry. So, and I think maybe, Ben, you could explain to folks kind of the levels of NERC alerts and the responses and like how that works so folks understand, because, some NERC alerts are kind of informational and others are going to require quite a bit of work and response.
Yeah, for sure. So there's 3 levels to a NERC alert. You can have an industry advisory, recommendation to the industry, or essential action NERC alert. So, and that goes in order of severity, if you want to call it. But industry advisory is green level, most basic level advisory or NERC alert that you can get. It's just a notice, essentially, like you were saying, Kelly. If something happens where where NERC wants to get information out to all entities or select few, registrations, they do that through an industry advisory. All you have to do is acknowledge it. Recommendation to the industry is a little more involved. That could include a questionnaire that you need to submit or respond to. It could include an RFI, a spreadsheet that you have to fill out about whatever the NERC alert is for. And then you have essential actions, which is the most severe, I guess, NERC alert, where NERC is not just letting you know like an industry advisory, but they're requiring action from a select few entities or registrations.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we've seen some of those NERC alerts where their advisories have been really helpful because they actually, let us know that something's going on, and then we go and dig in and see, like, does it affect our facilities or not? Yeah, and usually I think the essential actions, we've seen that you have a few months to kind of work through like a data request or things like that. It's not, it's not the next day. But I think there is a requirement on several of them to acknowledge and then also respond, right?
Yes, yeah, that's correct. Like the most recent one that just came out, it was issued, let's say on a Monday, and acknowledgement was due a few days later. That's literally just going into the NERC alerts portal and acknowledging that you've received the alert. The action required, the response to the questionnaire that was attached, isn't due for another 2 months. They're strategic about things. They don't just send these out, willy nilly. They're strategic about it, and it's paced well. So you have time to gather the evidence or gather the responses, actually dig in and find the answers.
Awesome. Yeah. Um, well, I know we were really wanting this just to be a short FYI. This is how NERC alerts work. I think the next thing to know is that on those ones where you're actually responding with detail, NERC's taking that data and evaluating it. I think we've seen where NERC has come back and asked some follow up questions about data that we've submitted, or just wanting to dive deeper into things. But I think it's important for folks to understand that it's technically not part of the NERC standards. It's not in those compliance monitoring. Um, you can't necessarily have an adverse reaction, but you do want to be really cautious with what you're providing, ensuring that you're providing something that shows that you do have a strong and robust compliance program, because it is data and it could maybe kick off some sort of compliance monitoring, a spot check or something like that. So it's really important to take the NERC alerts seriously and respond in a timely manner. So, yeah. All right. Well, anything else on the NERC alert front, Ben, you think folks should know?
Nope. Just if you're in the position where you're managing any kind of registration, just make sure you have access and you have all your portal access set up and notifications set up, and be ready to dig in.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for your time today, Ben. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Kelly.